He wasn't just a leader, he was a nightmare in a leather jacket. Close your eyes and picture this: a world where loyalty is earned through blood. Power is taken by force, and the weak don't survive. This is the world of outlaw biker gangs. And in this brutal world, one man stood above the rest leaders so ruthless, so feared, that even his men were afraid to cross him. His story isn't just about motorcycles and brotherhood. It's about crime, war, and the price of absolute power. This is the story of the most brutal Outlaws MC president in history. The Outlaws MC is one of the most feared and notorious biker gangs in the world. For decades, they've been locked in brutal wars with rival clubs, running everything from drug trafficking to extortion. But out of all the Outlaws MC leaders in history, one man stands above the rest as the most brutal president to ever wear the patch. A man who ruled with an iron fist, left a trail of blood wherever he went, and made sure his enemies never saw the light of day again. This is the story of the most brutal Outlaws MC president in history. But before we begin, these types of videos do take a lot of effort to create, so please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Early years. Before he became a ruthless leader, he was just another kid growing up in a rough neighborhood. Born into a world of violence, crime, and survival, it didn't take long before he found his way into the biker scene. By his late teens, he was already running with some of the most dangerous guys in town. Street fights, petty crimes, and high-speed chases became a part of his daily life. But he didn't just want to be another biker. He wanted power. He was known for his short temper and brutal fighting style, leaving his enemies mashed and broken. Many said he had a skill for survival, a sixth sense that helped him escape police raids and gang attacks. He quickly realized that in the outlaw world, fear was more powerful than respect, and he made sure to use that to his advantage. Joining the Outlaws MC. When he joined the Outlaws MC, he wasn't just another recruit. He made an impression fast. While some bikers spent years trying to prove themselves, he climbed the ranks at record speed. Why? Because he was willing to do what others wouldn't. While some hesitated before pulling the trigger, he never blinked. If the club needed someone to take care of a problem, he handled no questions asked. His reputation spread like wildfire, and soon, he wasn't just another member. He was a force to be feared with. He had a crew of loyal enforcers, men who would do anything for him. His right-hand man was a cold-blooded hitman who handled all the club's most dangerous jobs. His enforcers were feared across the country, known for torturing rival members before making them disappear. He also had a trusted money man, someone who laundered the club's cash through seemingly legal businesses, making sure law enforcement never had a direct trail to their crimes. The rise to power. The moment he set his eyes on leadership, nothing could stop him. The old president? Let's just say he didn't last long once this guy decided he wanted the top seat. Some say he forced the previous leader out. Others say the guy mysteriously disappeared. Either way, by the time the dust settled, the most brutal president in Outlaws MC history was in charge. His method of taking power was ruthless. First, he eliminated any competition within the club. He set up traps, making sure the strongest rivals met their end in mysterious accidents. He then brought in fresh, blood-young, violent recruits who had no loyalty to the old guard and would follow him without question. His reign of terror. Once he took over, everything changed. The club wasn't just about riding bikes and drinking beer anymore. It became a full-blown criminal empire. Drug deals became bigger. Extortion rackets grew. Anyone who crossed the club, they didn't live long enough to regret it. He ruled with a combination of fear and absolute loyalty. If you were in the club, you followed his orders, or else. His enemies, let's just say they learned the hard way not to mess with him. Whether it was Hell's Angels, law enforcement, or even his men who stepped out of line, he made sure everyone knew who was in charge. Some were beaten so badly they couldn't walk again. Others just vanished, never to be seen again, and the message was clear. Mess with the Outlaws MC and you won't make it out alive. War with rival gangs. Under his leadership, the Outlaws MC went to war. Not just small beef here and there, but full-scale war. One of the bloodiest battles in biker history broke out during his reign. Drive-by shootings, car bombs, ambushes, nothing was off limits. He wanted absolute control, and anyone who stood in his way paid the price. Hell's Angels? They lost dozens of members in brutal attacks. Smaller clubs? They were either forced to join the Outlaws or wiped off the map. Law enforcement struggled to keep up, but every time they thought they had him, he slipped away like a ghost. He recruited ex-military snipers for long-range assassinations and explosives experts to rig rival clubhouses. His enforcers carried out executions in broad daylight, making sure the Outlaw's name was feared nationwide. Betrayal from within. The problem with being the most brutal leader? Even your men start to fear you, and fear eventually turns into betrayal. Some members started to question if he had gone too far. Others whispered about taking him out before he took them out first. But he wasn't stupid. He saw it coming. One by one, he got rid of anyone he even suspected of being a threat. Some were found floating in rivers. Others were buried in shallow graves. He ruled with mistrust, and in the end, that would be his downfall. The downfall. After years of absolute dominance, his luck ran out. Whether it was law enforcement finally catching up or his club turning against him, things started to shatter. A massive police operation led to dozens of Outlaws MC members being arrested, including him. But unlike some leaders who cut deals to save themselves, he refused to talk. He went down swinging, refusing to give up any secrets about the club. But once he was gone, the Outlaws MC was never the same. Without his brutal leadership, cracks started to form, and the club struggled to maintain the same power it once had. His legacy. Even behind bars, his legend never died. Some Outlaws MC members still see him as the greatest leader they ever had. Others remember him as a monster who went too far. But one thing's for sure, one will never forget the most brutal Outlaws MC president in history. His reign was soaked in blood, built on violence, and ended in betrayal. And even today, his story is a warning to anyone who dares to underestimate the Outlaws MC. His legacy is one of blood, power, and absolute control. The most brutal president in Outlaws MC history didn't just lead a club. He ran an empire fueled by fear and violence. He didn't negotiate with enemies, he erased them. He didn't ask for loyalty, he demanded it. For years, his iron rule made the Outlaws MC one of the most feared biker gangs in the world. But in the end, what goes around comes around. Whether betrayed by his men or taken down by relentless police efforts, his reign came to a crushing end. But his influence, that never truly disappeared. That's the story of the most brutal Outlaws MC president in history. A man who built an empire, crushed his enemies, and left behind a legacy of fear. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more insane stories from the world of outlaw biker gangs. See you in the next one.